Maybe this emptiness is not a curse. Maybe it is a funeral. Not for your body, not for your future, not for your hope, for the old you, the one who begged to be chosen, the one who explained pain to deaf hearts. That version of you is dying. It hurts. What did you expect? Change would feel like music? No. Sometimes it feels like midnight, chest heavy, throat tight, mind whispering, I do not know who I am. That is not weakness. That is an old identity losing power. You feel empty because lies are leaving. Approval hunger is leaving. When everything false leaves, it feels like nothing is left. But nothing is not always nothing. Sometimes nothing is space. Space for peace. Space for discipline. Listen carefully. Do not romanticize emptiness. Do not call darkness home. Pain is a teacher, not a throne. You are allowed to hurt. You are allowed to be tired. Do not betray the life trusted to you. Do not throw away purpose because some people did not love you. No. You will stand. Not loudly, not dramatically. You will stand because your soul was not made to stay down. And maybe one day, you will look back and realize it was not where you ended. The fake version stopped breathing, so the real one could begin. You may not even miss the people who left. Maybe you only miss who you were before they touched your peace. You miss the version of you that believed easily, the one who laughed without checking if pain was hiding behind it, the one who trusted words because his heart was still clean. And now you sit there, like a stranger inside your own skin. Not destroyed, not healed, just silent. That silence is heavy, I know. It feels like your chest became a locked room, and even you do not have the key. People think emptiness is calm. No. Emptiness is when nothing hurts loudly anymore, because everything has already hurt too much. But listen to me. Do not beg your old self to return. He was innocent, yes. He was kind, yes. But he was also tired from bleeding for people who called his wounds sensitivity. Let him rest. Let that version sleep. Not with hatred, not with revenge, not with a dirty heart. With mercy. Mercy for yourself. You survived things you never fully explained. You carried sadness with a normal face. You smiled while something inside you was asking for help. And still, you are here. That means something. It means your story is not finished. It means your emptiness did not defeat you. It means even when your heart feels cold, there is still a quiet command inside you saying, stand again. Not because life is easy, because you were created for more than this pain. And one day, not today maybe, not tonight maybe, but one day, your heart will feel warm again. And sometimes, the hardest thing is not losing people. It is realizing how much of yourself you abandoned while trying to keep them. You lowered your voice. You hid your pain. You swallowed words that deserved to be spoken. You kept saying, "I understand," even when no one tried to understand you. Sadness does not scream. It sits beside you. It follows you into quiet rooms. It waits until the world is asleep. Then it touches your chest and says, "Remember. Remember how you gave love carefully and still felt unwanted? Remember how you were loyal and still felt replaceable? Remember how you stayed soft while life taught sharp lessons? Now you feel empty because part of you is tired of being good with no shelter. But listen, do not hate your heart for being tired. It only wanted a safe place to rest. It wanted someone to notice the silence behind your smile. And maybe no one did. Maybe they walked past your pain because you carried it too quietly. But the one who sees what people miss saw every silent battle, every tear you swallowed, every night you stayed patient, every moment you chose dignity over bitterness. So cry if you need to, but do not collapse into the idea that your sadness is your home. It is not. Sadness is a visitor, a heavy one, a cruel one, but still a visitor. Let it sit. Let it speak. Let it show you what still hurts. But when morning comes, wash your face, stand quietly, return to your path. Not because you feel ready, because broken hearts must keep walking toward mercy. And maybe you are tired of being strong. Not the beautiful kind people praise, the quiet kind, the lonely kind. The kind that wakes up, looks in the mirror, and does not recognize the eyes staring back. You are tired of saying, "I am fine," with a voice that almost breaks. Tired of acting like your heart is not carrying a graveyard of words you never said. Because some pain does not leave marks on the skin. It leaves marks on how you answer, how you trust, how you stop expecting anything. And that is what emptiness does. It does not always make you cry. Sometimes it makes you polite, distant, careful, quiet in a way that scares even you. You start missing yourself in small places, old songs, old streets, the way you spoke before disappointment taught you silence. You miss being untouched by this sadness. But listen to me with the little strength you have left. Do not punish yourself for changing. You were not supposed to stay the same after what hurt you. Do not let pain steal your mercy. Do not let emptiness make you unjust. Do not let a cold world turn your soul cold. Become wiser without becoming cruel. Protect your peace without losing your softness before Allah. There is still goodness in you, even if it is buried, even if it is shaking, even if it only appears as one small decision not to give up tonight. That is enough. Sometimes healing begins so small it feels insulting. A glass of water, a clean room, one honest prayer, one walk, one breath where you do not hate yourself. No fireworks, just you, still here. Still here. And that matters more than your sadness wants to believe. Because sadness lies when it gets loud. It tells you nothing will change. It tells you your heart is finished. But sadness is not revelation. It is a feeling, a heavy feeling, a painful feeling, but not your master. So tonight, do not ask yourself to become whole. Just refuse to disappear. Refuse quietly, with tired eyes, with a shaking heart, with no applause. And tomorrow, if the emptiness returns, meet it again, not as a victim begging it to leave, but as a soul learning, slowly, painfully, faithfully, how to live again. And living again does not always look beautiful. Sometimes it looks like opening your eyes when you wanted to hide from the morning. Sometimes it looks like answering one message with a tired hand. Sometimes it looks like eating in silence, not because you were hungry, but because your body still has a right over you. Sometimes it looks like praying with a heart that feels empty and still believing that emptiness is not stronger than mercy. You do not need to feel inspired every day. You do not need to wake up burning with purpose. Some days, surviving with dignity is the victory. Some days, not returning to what broke you is the victory. Some days, choosing silence instead of begging is the victory. And I know it hurts. It hurts when people only respect your absence after they abused your presence. It hurts when they suddenly understand your value after your heart has already gone quiet. Funny, isn't it? They wanted your softness without protecting it. They wanted your patience without honoring it. They wanted your loyalty without earning it. But this emptiness is teaching you something painful. Not everyone who receives your heart deserves access to it. Not everyone who smiles near you is safe for you. Not every apology is change. Not every memory is a sign to return. Some memories are tests. Tests of whether you respect the pain you already survived. So when the past calls your name softly, do not answer too quickly. Let your silence ask the question your heart was too kind to ask before. Did they love me, or did they love what I tolerated? And if the answer hurts, let it hurt. Do not decorate the truth just because loneliness is standing beside you. Loneliness is painful, but losing yourself again is worse. So sit with the emptiness. Let it expose what was fake. Let it burn what was weak. Let it make you honest. Then stand. Not with pride, not with revenge, not with hatred in your chest. Stand with quiet faith. Stand like someone who has cried enough to know the price of peace. Stand like someone who no longer begs for places where his soul was never welcomed. And even if your voice shakes, speak gently to yourself. Say, I am tired, but I am still responsible for my life. I am hurt, but I will not become unjust. I am empty, but I am not forgotten. Because one day, this heavy silence will soften. One day, the room inside you will not feel so cold. One day, you will breathe without feeling like you are carrying the whole night in your chest. Not because they came back, not because they apologized, not because the world became fair, but because you came back to yourself. And coming back to yourself is not a beautiful walk through sunlight. Sometimes it is crawling through the ruins of what you used to believe. It is looking at your own heart and saying, I am sorry. I am sorry I ignored you. I am sorry I forced you to stay where you were not safe. I am sorry I called your pain overthinking. I am sorry I made you beg for basic respect. That apology matters, because before you can heal from what they did, you must stop betraying yourself. Stop returning to the same fire and calling it warmth. Stop drinking poison because it once tasted like love. Stop opening the door for people who only knock when they need your light. You are not cruel for protecting yourself. You are not arrogant for choosing peace. You are not cold because you finally stopped bleeding in public. You are learning. Slowly, painfully, silently. You are learning that your heart is not a public place. Not everyone gets access. Not everyone gets explanation. Not everyone gets another chance. And yes, some people will call that change. Let them. They benefited from the old you. Of course they will miss him. But you must not miss the cage just because it was familiar. Freedom feels empty at first because peace is quiet. And when you have lived too long in chaos, quiet feels like loss. But it is not loss. It is healing arriving without noise. So breathe. Again. You are still here. And as long as you are still here, there is still a door Allah can open. A mercy you have not seen. A strength inside you that is not spoken yet. Do not rush the ending. Do not judge your whole life by one dark chapter. Do not bury yourself in a season that was only meant to teach you. This emptiness will not own you forever. One day you will laugh without forcing it. You will sleep without fighting memories. You will walk into a room and feel present again. And when that day comes, you will understand. You were not empty. You were being cleared. Cleared of illusions, cleared of dependence, cleared of the need to be chosen by people who could not even choose goodness. And what remains after that? is not weakness. It is truth. Truth is painful at first, because truth removes excuses. It removes the fantasy. It removes the soft lies you told yourself just to survive another night without collapsing. Truth says they saw your pain and stayed careless. Truth says you were loyal to people who were only loyal to convenience. Truth says some doors close not because you are worthless, but because God heard conversations you never did. And maybe that is what hurts the most. Realizing you were trying to save connections that were slowly destroying your peace. You kept watering dead gardens with your own heart. You kept giving understanding to people who gave you confusion, patience to people who gave you disrespect, mercy to people who treated your softness like weakness. And now your soul feels exhausted, not because you loved too deeply, but because you loved without protection. Listen carefully now. Your sadness is real. Your emptiness is real. Your loneliness is real. But do not build your identity around suffering. Do not become addicted to your own wounds. Do not sit in dark rooms replaying old memories until pain becomes the only thing that feels familiar. You deserve a life beyond survival. You deserve mornings that do not begin with emotional weight crushing your chest. You deserve friendships that do not feel like emotional labor. You deserve love that does not make you question your worth every night. And if you never receive that from certain people, let them go with dignity. Not every goodbye needs screaming. Not every ending needs revenge. Some endings deserve silence. Cold silence, not hateful silence. Wise silence. Because there is maturity in accepting what your heart fought too hard against. Some people are lessons. Some people are warnings. Some people arrive only to expose the places inside you that still needed healing. And maybe, just maybe, this emptiness came to show you what happens when you abandon yourself trying to keep everyone else. So now you sit alone, quiet, changed. But there is something sacred about this stage. Nobody claps for it. Nobody notices it. Yet this is where real transformation begins. Not when you become louder, when you become honest. Honest about what drains you. Honest about what weakens your soul. Honest about the people you keep romanticizing even though they repeatedly wounded your peace. Healing begins with honesty. And honesty sounds ugly before it sounds freeing. It sounds like, I cannot keep chasing people who enjoy watching me suffer. I cannot keep reopening wounds just because loneliness scares me. I cannot keep turning temporary emotions into permanent destruction. No, I will sit with this pain. I will carry it with patience. I will cry if I need to. I will rest if I need to. But I will not destroy myself. Because my sadness is not greater than Allah's mercy. And maybe tonight, that is enough. Maybe tonight the victory is simply this. You are still breathing, still listening, still fighting thoughts nobody hears, still choosing not to become cruel. That matters, more than your sadness wants you to believe. So if your heart feels empty tonight, do not panic. Empty things can be filled again. Empty rooms can hear prayer again. Empty hearts can feel warmth again. Empty souls can return to life again. Even yours. Especially yours. Especially yours. Because your heart is not dead, only tired. There is a difference. Dead hearts feel nothing after hurting people. Dead hearts sleep peacefully after betrayal. Dead hearts destroy others and call it honesty. But you feel too much. That is why this emptiness scares you. You still care, still remember, still replay moments in your head wondering what you could have done differently. Maybe nothing. Maybe you were simply trying to grow flowers in places built for storms. And some storms do not come to love you. They come to test whether you finally love yourself enough to walk away. That lesson is painful, because walking away from what hurt you is easy when you hate it. Walking away becomes difficult when your heart still sees beauty in what damaged it. That is the tragedy of soft people. They remember the good too much. They replay the smiles, the late-night conversations, the moments that felt safe. And they ignore how many nights they cried afterward. Do not rewrite history because you feel lonely tonight. Do not turn red flags into memories painted gold. Your heart deserves truth, even painful truth. Maybe they loved you in the only way they knew how. But some forms of love are still unhealthy. Some forms of love leave scars on the soul. Some forms of love slowly convince you that asking for respect is asking for too much. And you began shrinking yourself to stay loved. Smaller reactions, smaller needs, smaller voice. Until one day, you disappeared inside your own life. That is why you feel empty now. Not because you lost them, because you lost yourself while holding on to them. But listen carefully. You can return. Slowly, quietly, without announcing your healing to the world. Return to the things that make your soul breathe properly. Return to prayer without performance. Return to discipline without obsession. Return to rest without guilt. Return to mornings without checking who forgot you. And most importantly, return to speaking to yourself with mercy. You have punished yourself enough. You blamed yourself for things that were never fully your fault. You carried emotional weight that belonged to other people. You apologized for reactions born from exhaustion. Enough. You do not need to become heartless to become stronger. Real strength is remaining clean in a dirty world. Real strength is refusing to let betrayal teach you betrayal. Real strength is keeping faith while your chest feels heavy with sadness. And one day, one very quiet day, you will wake up and notice something strange. The emptiness will still be there, but smaller. The sadness will still exist, but softer. The memories will still visit, but they will no longer control the room inside you. And that is how healing begins. Not like lightning, like dawn. Slow, quiet, patient. Until eventually, the light reaches places inside you that once believed they would stay dark forever. And when the light finally reaches those places, you will grieve, not only for what happened to you, but for how long you believed you deserved it. You will grieve the nights you blamed yourself for other people's cruelty, the mornings you woke up already emotionally exhausted, the version of you that kept trying harder while silently falling apart inside. That version deserved gentleness too. But instead, he learned survival before peace. He learned silence before comfort. He learned how to carry pain without interrupting anyone. And eventually, he became tired of carrying himself alone. That is why your emptiness feels so deep. It is not one disappointment. It is accumulated sadness, years of swallowing emotions, years of pretending certain things did not hurt, years of accepting less than what your soul truly needed. You became emotionally hungry. Hungry for sincerity. Hungry for safety. Hungry for a place where your heart did not have to stand guard every second. And when people failed to give you that, you started questioning your own worth instead of questioning their inability to love correctly. That mistake cost you peace, but not permanently. Because tonight, right now, something inside you is waking up. Not anger, not revenge, awareness. Awareness that you cannot continue living at war with yourself just because others failed to appreciate your value. Awareness that constantly bleeding for people is not kindness, it is self-neglect. Read that again inside your heart. Constantly bleeding for people is not kindness. It is forgetting that your soul also has rights. The right to peace, the right to honesty, the right to distance from what destroys it. And maybe nobody taught you that before. Maybe you grew up believing love means sacrifice without limits, patience without boundaries, forgiveness without wisdom. But limitless sacrifice breaks people. It empties them slowly until they no longer recognize their own reflection. So no, you are not weak for feeling exhausted. You are human. A human heart can only absorb so much disappointment before it begins shutting down to survive. That numbness you feel sometimes, that emotional distance, it may not be hatred. It may simply be your soul begging for rest. Rest from overthinking. Rest from emotional chasing. Rest from trying to earn love that should have come naturally. You spent too much time trying to convince people to value you when your value was never supposed to be debated in the first place. And deep down, you know that. That is why certain apologies no longer move you. Certain compliments no longer heal you. Certain people no longer feel safe no matter how softly they speak, because your soul remembers what your mind keeps trying to minimize. It remembers the disrespect, the confusion, the loneliness you felt standing beside people who claimed they cared. And maybe tonight, for the first time in a long time, you should stop asking, "Why was I not enough?" and start asking, "Why did I keep abandoning myself trying to be enough for everyone else?" That question changes everything. Because healing truly begins when you stop turning your pain into proof of worthlessness. Pain is not proof you are unlovable. Pain is proof you are alive. Pain is proof your heart still feels. And yes, that feeling hurts now. But one day, it will become wisdom instead of suffering. One day you will sit quietly somewhere, maybe after prayer, maybe during sunrise, maybe in the middle of an ordinary afternoon, and suddenly realize you survived. Not perfectly, not gracefully, not without scars, but you survived without becoming the darkness that hurt you. And that is something beautiful. Yes, that is something beautiful. Not loud beauty, not the kind people post online, not the kind that comes with applause. Quiet beauty, the beauty of a tired soul choosing softness after everything it survived. Do you understand how rare that is? Most people let pain turn them cruel. They let betrayal poison the way they speak. They let disappointment harden their hearts until nobody can reach them anymore. But you are still fighting to remain clean inside. Even now, even while hurting, even while feeling emotionally lost. That matters more than you think. Because the world rewards performance. It rewards noise, pride, masks. But Allah sees what people cannot see. He sees the battles inside your chest, the patience nobody thanked you for, the nights you stayed silent to avoid hurting others, the moments you almost collapsed but kept going anyway. None of that is invisible. And maybe, just maybe, this emptiness was never sent to destroy you. Maybe it came to separate you from illusions. Illusions about people, illusions about yourself, illusions about what truly deserves your heart. Because before this pain, you gave your energy too freely. Too much explanation, too much emotional chasing, too much forgiving without change. You kept handing pieces of your soul to people who did not even know how to hold them carefully. And now your heart is teaching you something difficult. Not everyone deserves access to your deepest self. That is not arrogance, that is wisdom. Wisdom is understanding that peace is expensive. You cannot keep destroying your inner world just to keep temporary people comfortable. You cannot continue begging for honesty from those addicted to confusion. You cannot keep reopening wounds, hoping different words will create different people. No. At some point, you must become loyal to your own soul too. Loyal to your healing. Loyal to your boundaries. Loyal to the quiet life your heart has been begging for. And yes, that may disappoint people. Some will call you distant. Some will call you changed. Some will miss the version of you that accepted emotional crumbs with gratitude. Let them misunderstand. You spent too much of your life trying to make everyone comfortable while your own spirit suffered in silence. Enough. You do not need to hate anyone to leave them behind. You do not need revenge to move on. Sometimes the strongest thing a wounded soul can do is quietly walk away and heal without announcing it. No speeches, no dramatic endings, just distance, just honesty, just peace returning slowly to places that have been starving for it. And when loneliness visits again, because it will, do not panic. Sit with it calmly. Loneliness is not always punishment. Sometimes it is protection from noise that was destroying your spirit. Sometimes solitude is where Allah rebuilds people privately before life introduces them to better days. So if your heart feels heavy tonight, rest. Cry if you need to. Pray even if your voice trembles. Breathe even if your chest feels tight. But do not give up on yourself. Not now. Not after everything you survived. You did not come this far just to disappear in the dark. One day, you will look back at this version of yourself with mercy, and you will say, "You were hurting badly, but you kept going anyway." And maybe nobody will ever fully understand how hard that was. How hard it was to continue smiling while your inner world was collapsing quietly. How hard it was to answer normally when your mind was exhausted from carrying sadness every day. People only see actions. They rarely see emotional weight. They see you becoming quieter, but they do not see the war that taught you silence. They see you pulling away, but they do not see how many nights you begged yourself to stay hopeful first. And honestly, maybe it is better that they do not fully understand. Some pain is too sacred to explain to people who only listen with curiosity instead of compassion. Not every wound needs an audience. Not every tear needs witnesses. Sometimes healing grows best in private, between you and Allah, between your heart and the silence of late nights. And there is something deeply human about that silence. The silence after crying. The silence after disappointment. The silence after realizing you cannot force people to become who you hoped they were. That silence changes people. Sometimes beautifully, sometimes painfully. The danger is when sadness convinces you that becoming emotionally numb is maturity. It is not. Real maturity is feeling pain fully, without allowing it to poison your character. That takes strength, more strength than anger, more strength than revenge, more strength than pretending you never cared. Because the truth is, you did care, deeply. You loved sincerely, you stayed sincerely, you hoped sincerely. And sincere hearts suffer differently. They do not break loudly, they break slowly, through disappointment after disappointment, until eventually they sit in silence, wondering why existing suddenly feels heavy. But listen carefully now. That heaviness is not permanent. Feelings change, seasons change, people change. And by Allah's mercy, hearts change too. Even hearts that feel completely exhausted tonight. So stop speaking to yourself like you are already lost. Stop looking at your sadness as proof that your future is ruined. You are in pain, yes, but pain is not prophecy. Pain cannot see tomorrow. Pain only knows how to make the current moment feel endless. Yet countless people before you felt exactly what you feel now, and still found peace again, still laughed again, still loved again, still woke up one morning and realized the darkness no longer controlled them. And one day, that may be you too. Not because life suddenly becomes perfect, but because your soul slowly learns where real peace comes from. Not from endless attention, not from being chosen by everyone, not from chasing validation until your spirit collapses. From returning to yourself honestly. From returning to Allah sincerely. From protecting your inner world instead of sacrificing it for temporary acceptance. Maybe this emptiness came to teach you that your worth cannot depend on unstable people. Maybe it came to force you to build a stronger relationship with your own soul. Maybe it came to remind you that hearts need purpose, not just attachment. And maybe, years from now, you will realize this painful season saved you from becoming someone who abandoned himself forever. So tonight, rest your tired heart. Not every battle must be solved immediately. Some wounds heal slowly because they touched deep places inside you. Be patient with your recovery. Be gentle with your thoughts. Be careful with the words you repeat to yourself in lonely moments. Because your inner voice becomes the home your soul lives inside. Make that home merciful, not perfect, not fearless, just merciful. You have suffered enough cruelty already. Do not become cruel to yourself too. Be soft with yourself tonight. Not weak, soft. There is a difference. Weakness is giving up your soul. Softness is holding it gently while it heals. You have been harsh enough with your own heart. You blamed it for trusting, blamed it for hoping, blamed it for loving people who did not know how to stay. Stop. Your heart was not foolish. It was human. And humans break sometimes. They get tired. They lose direction. They sit in silence and wonder why everything feels so heavy. But they can return, slowly, quietly, by one prayer, one breath, one honest decision not to abandon themselves again. So tonight, do not demand a miracle from your sadness. Just give yourself mercy. And when the darkness whispers that you are finished, answer softly, no, I am still here, still breathing, still learning, still held by a mercy bigger than my pain. And that is enough for tonight.